Hello, welcome back to the last episode of the week for Outlandish Claims. I'm here with, of course, Gio, and surprisingly to everybody, Millz.
I'm still here.
I know. Well, this is where the final thought is going to get interesting. Both Gio and I have ranty final thoughts.
Yeah. I was
Millz,
kind
I
of
was going to ask you if yours isn't so ranty. Maybe you want to lead off because I've had the unfortunate moments where Gio has not gone last during final thoughts, and then I've had to go after him. And in this particular moment, I'm not really interested in anybody else but him going last, given what is going to be his topic.
I hate everything.
shout out to the New York Knicks. I don't give you credit often, but to secure a winning season and playoff spot, congratulations. At the moment, it looks like they will play Atlanta in the first round, who they've been back and forth with all season. They got some tough competition coming up. They got the Clippers, Lakers, Spurs, and then they round out the season against the Hornets and the Celtics. The Hornets are right there in the conversation for a fringe team. Celtics are in the conversation as well. But Lakers and Clippers, definitely going to be a tough matchup for them. Obviously dealing with Kawhi Leonard for the Clippers and LeBron James and company in LA. And the Lakers have a lot riding for them. That's going to be a really interesting game. LeBron does not want to participate in the play-in tournament that he suggested last year. Wanted to keep it nice, short, and sweet for you guys to go on your little rants here. I can't wait.
I just want you to realize Taylor talking about basketball is one of the rarest things you will ever hear or witness in your life. So even though that was a very short and good rant, that is a big deal if he's talking about New York Knicks basketball. The Knicks back. I am so happy.
It is. They got me talking about it for the first time. This is the first time I've talked about basketball voluntarily, mind you, in about 3 years.
And that was a good little rant, so I'll mute myself.
Oh, you don't have to mute yourself. You can stay and laugh with me because you don't have to mute yourself. We share in everything. My topic today for final thoughts. It's going to be an ongoing thing this season, I can tell, because it's been an ongoing thing since something that we talked about earlier in the week, since the 2019 World Series specifically. And that is the complete and total decomposing, horribly kept, horrible job done by the poor umpires that work in the Major League Baseball system. I was fully prepared to start off with one example from earlier this week, but I'm going to use that as my backup point. Today, I was watching ESPN's Gamecast of the Atlanta-Philly game. Ian Anderson was my pitcher. He had thrown a strike, which was called a strike, and then proceeded to throw two more strikes, which were called balls. Then, after that guy got on, the very next batter came up, and he threw a ball that on the Gamecast looked like it was about to hit the guy in the hand, but was called a strike. Now, I'm fully aware that Gamecast might not be the most accurate of everything, but certainly it's a lot more accurate than what the umps are doing, number one. Number two, if the ball is positioned so close into the hands of a batter, I'm going to guess it's probably somewhere in the middle at the very least, and that's very clearly still a ball. Number three, my backup point. Earlier in the week, there was a game between Kansas City and somebody else. I can't remember who. One of the pitchers for Kansas City, I do believe at this point it was Danny Duffy, my bae, Danny Duffy, threw a strike that was called a ball, and it would have been strike three. Instead, it was called ball one or ball two, and the very next pitch he threw was a single which knocked in a run. And oh, by the way, there were two outs. So instead of strike three, it was ball two. Instead of inning over, it was inning continuing single and RBI. it's not ranty yet because I'm keeping a very calm and level tone, which I know is shocking everybody from Gio to Taylor to my dogs who are still not barking downstairs because they haven't heard me yelling yet.
Get at him. Get him. Get him.
It's warming up.
Bring in the robo-umps!
There it is.
2019 was a referendum on the need for robo-umps. You had umps making calls that were so bad, you had Nationals fans booing when the Astros got a ball thrown against them. In the World Series, how do you make opposing fans boo a call that favors your team? When Houston's throwing balls, that should be a good thing for you guys. But of course it's not good because you know that the ball that's going to bounce off the plate is somehow going to be called a strike. Because the umps, somehow passing magical umpiring schools down in Kansas, down in Florida, they can't seem to pass the basic eye exam to get themselves a driver's license. They know what balls and strikes look like, but they can't see the damn ball. Bring in the robo home plate umps. Because honestly, I'm getting sick of it. The players are getting sick of it. Other fans are getting sick of it. But most of all, aside from people getting sick of it, the pitchers who are doing their jobs do not deserve to have their jobs ruined, their contracts possibly ruined, their futures in the league possibly ruined because a man standing behind home plate doesn't know enough to say when a ball goes over the plate. It is ridiculous. Danny Duffy is one of my personal favorites this year. He's had a sub-1 ERA the entire season. That RBI put him over 1 for the first time all year. He was leading in MLB ERA up until 2 games ago. Bad calls like this are what screw a pitcher out of having a great season. Now, I'm not saying a great season is indicative of an entire career, but that's exactly what happened with Chris Davis. He hit 59 home runs, and he got a $160 million contract. All these people need is one exceptional year, and they get paid like they're Midas. These people, the pitchers, are screwed more than anybody else through no fault of their own. I'm not saying there can't be bad pitchers. I'm not saying hitters can't just have great at-bats and knock balls wherever they need to go. But if you think about it, a pitcher's outcome is the only position on the field that is solely able to be judged by somebody not the pitcher. The batter controls his outcome, the runners control their outcome, the fielders control their outcomes. Replay cannot help the pitchers. If an outfielder makes a great play, but the officials miss it, replay saves their asses. A guy slides in home, he's called out, he's actually safe, replay saves their asses. Not to say replay is infallible, but they at least get the chance to fix a mistake. A pitcher throws a perfect strike, it's called a ball, they cannot be saved, and it's crap. These people have their lives in the hands of somebody else, and it's not good for baseball. You allow replay to help everybody else, but the robots are nowhere to be seen for the fundamental piece of the game, throwing a ball. Without it, there is no baseball. Just plain and simple. If you can't use the robots that you're employing to help everybody else, aside from the pitcher, there's something wrong with this game. So screw your stupid ass fucking second baseman rule and extra innings. Screw the 30-second mound visits. Screw the limitations on 3 batters per pitcher. You are helping no one. You want to help the pitchers? Get the fucking robots to do the jobs that your fucking umpires can't.
Standing ovation.
Absolutely. Yep.
Beautiful.
Adam, you said that absolutely beautifully.
I seriously.
Cannot-
Awesome.
I cannot communicate even better. That was perfect. Absolutely perfect. I had to look it. I wanted to look it up to see what the progress was. This year, they are starting robo umpires for strike calls, balls and strike calls in single A. So there will be some progress towards it. Hey, get it right, and I hope the robos. I hope they get the robo process right too.
Absolutely.
Because what would be worse than a person getting it wrong?
A robot getting it wrong.
A robot getting it wrong.
Listen, I could see a bad call being made and a player smashing the robot with a baseball bat, and that'd be some fun.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
Imagine Paul O'Neill.
Oh, God.
Imagine that. And I know you guys remember the water coolers. So, like,
I
just
remember
imagine,
the water coolers.
Imagine David Ortiz when
I remember
he
punting a baseball.
he took it out on the phone.
Brett Gardner.
Yeah, Brett Gardner.
Lou Piniella.
O'Neill kicking a baseball.
Lou Piniella coming out of the dugout to scream at the umpire.
Carlos Zambrano, angry.
God, yes. Oh, we got to get a list of, like, players who would flip out on robo.
Ozzie Guillen.
Easily Ozzie.
Oh,
I can see that.
He would.
He'd just take a bottle of water and be like, short.
He would slowly just like throw it over the robot.
Imagine the broken robo ump throwing somebody out.
Oh, he never threw me out. Oh, well, I guess I'm going to go back to the dugout now.
Hey.
Man, how am I going to top that?
Oh, you will top it. I
Are
know
you
you'll
sure?
top it. You know why? Because you're more even as emotionally invested as I am in pitchers. Gio, you are far more emotionally invested in your topic, and I can't wait to hear what you got to tell us. Sir, the floor is yours.
Well, before I let my anger out,
Take a deep breath.
I want to ask you gentlemen a question. How long do you think a team should be able to rebuild until you could say they're a championship contender? What would be the amount of years you expect? I'm saying 3 years?
It depends on what kind of rebuild. Is it bottom up, or are you starting with some kind of generalized core that you're building around for a rebuild?
Let's say for this concept,
you've traded out the veterans, but you still got a young core that you can build around.
that's the specific rebuild I'm talking about.
3 at most.
On average, across all 4 major sports, 4 years minimum.
Yeah, so a lot of people that have been asked this question on Reddit, on Twitter threads, a lot of people give your answers, guys, like 3 to 4 years with a team that's got a very young core to build themselves into a championship team. And I asked this question because the Rangers, back in 2018, at the end of that season, they released a letter to the fans known as the letter. And in this letter, I'm going to be a too long don't read here. They basically said, we've competed for quite some time. We've made consistent playoff appearances. We made a Stanley Cup Finals, and we failed to win a championship. We would like your patience and your passion. Understand we're going to try and rebuild this team the best we can, and we're going to see a Stanley Cup in the near future. And I remember seeing this on Twitter and thinking, wow, like a team from New York, a team like the Rangers, this team has always been about just trying to win now. So when that letter came out, it was a very big deal for anybody, including Rangers fans, to see that. So my first thought was, okay, let's see what they do. So it's been like 2 years now, and I'd say they've done a pretty good job so far. They have a star player in Artemi Panarin. They have Micah Zibanejad, who became a pretty solid player. Chris Kreider's still a core piece of this team. They were able to find Hank's successor in Igor Shesterkin, who, when healthy, looks great. Adam Fox became a Norris Trophy candidate. And they got top 2 picks from the past 2 drafts in Capo Caco and Alexei Lafreniere. They surprisingly made the Stanley Cup qualifier last year. And the expectation was that they weren't going to make the playoffs this year because the division they were in was brutal, and they had to face these teams 8 times a year. Already, fans like myself knew I wasn't expecting the playoffs. I want Lafreniere to get more ice time. I want Capo Caco to take that second step. This is a bridge year, a bridge into taking that next leap into a playoff team. And what do? Well, they fired their GM and their president of hockey operations just because they disagreed with a statement released by the team about the head of player safety. They are saying, this is a rumor that apparently the firings had nothing to do with this statement that was saying the head of player safety should be looked into and Tom Wilson should be banned. It was more of the fact that they underachieved this season. What's to underachieve? This team was not supposed to go anywhere. They built one of the best core teams in hockey, and you just fire them? Jeff Gordon built the Boston Bruins 2011 Stanley Cup team. And this Rangers team was on the cusp of something beautiful. And since James Dolan can't fuck up the Knicks, he's got to fuck up the Rangers. He just woke up one day and thought, oh my God, I have a hockey team under my belt. Fuck you and your fucking band. I hate you. I don't care if anybody sees this. I am against James Dolan. I don't care if the Knicks are good now. That is not his fault. That is the fault of Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau actually realizing how to build a team. This Rangers team still can be a decent team. They played good against the Bruins today, for crying out loud. But here's the problem. When you have a person like Chris Drury who is in your management and you promise him when he was going to go for the Penguins GM role, apparently they said, we're going to promise you a future GM and president spot. And sure enough, the second some controversy happened, for the record, I have no problem with Chris Drury. I love him as a player, love him as an executive, but this shows the fucking incompetence. Glenn Schaefer still runs the fucking team, it sounds like, because they have no idea what a winning team would be. The last time a winning team happened was because Henrik Lundqvist was too busy carrying your fucking asses. I guarantee you, if they had one competent scorer on a 2014 team, minus Ryan McDonough going full Brian Leach, they would have won a Stanley Cup. How are you going to tell me that you can fire the GM, you can fire the president, but you're not going to fire the head coach who's giving Vitaly Krasnov, a top 10 pick from 2 years ago? He's playing on the fourth line after you said he's not going to be anything lower than a bottom six forward? Where's the logic? Even Alexei Lafreniere. It only took 50 fucking games to make the number one overall pick on the first line with your top star, and look what happened. Now he's scoring goals, and now he's getting points. It only took you 55 games to realize that? You are so lucky that Lafreniere looks like a good player right now, because if he didn't, this would be the worst number one overall pick in decades. And the last time the Rangers had a number one overall pick, he didn't even play a minute for the team. Even Capo Caco. He took a step in the right direction, but you know what? They're not playing him minutes. It's all about playing Ryan Strome. Got to play Blackwell, too. Didn't you realize you're supposed to be rebuilding? A rebuild means you're supposed to develop players you have that are supposed to be the future. You have no future with this current team you have. It makes no sense. And it's going to continue until James Dolan sells the team. And I know it's been a repeat thing to say since the New York Knicks days, but God forbid James Dolan did not put his dirty hands on this team. And sure enough, he did. There's a very good, talented forward bunch here. The goalie tandem is always fantastic. So no matter what's going to happen, they're still going to make the playoffs within the next few years. And I can guarantee you they're going to overtrade for Jack Eichel this offseason. They're going to trade all the young talent they have for Jack Eichel, who's miserable in Buffalo, who's going to come to the Rangers and Rick Nash it up. And by Rick Nash it up, I mean get a concussion and call it a career early. I could just do this for days and days and days and days, and you get the point. But what am I supposed to look forward to right now? Everything was going well until Tom Wilson decided to actually hit somebody on the Rangers. And you know what? This actually leads to my next point. They're too soft to win. The last time the Rangers player actually hit somebody, minus the Tom Wilson incident, was 2013. And when they drafted people with toughness, Dylan McIlrath, Michael Del Zotto, they've done nothing. They can't draft. They can't trade. They got lucky the fact they rigged the draft lottery so they can get the first overall pick, and they still fucked that up. When the Knicks do good, the Rangers suck. And when the Knicks suck, the Rangers were good, and it's going to keep on teetering until James Dolan sells the team. And God forbid I see this team win a Stanley Cup. Ah, go Kraken! Go Kraken!
Now that I feel not one, but two people's blood pressures from miles away, this is one of the things, Gio, we had the conversation because I heard your reaction, like literally live. We were playing MLB The Show, and your reaction said it all. You were just like, they fired them?
Do you see this? This is stress. Look at this. I used to have a mullet. The last time I had a good set of hair was when this team made the Stanley Cup Finals. And when they choked to the Kings, so did my hair.
It strikes me as an odd and stupid move to make because these guys built this core, a young team, and it's not like those picks are going to be any different. If it's somebody else in the GM chair, they're still picking Kako and Lafreniere. They're still picking them.
Well, since we're talking about this is a baseball show technically, did you know Chris Drury won a Little League World Series?
No, I did not know that.
Oh, no, I didn't.
He actually did.
Did you know Todd Frazier is –
Don't you do it.
Do it, Millz.
Hey, did you know the drummer for Nirvana was also the lead guitarist for the Foo Fighters?
I can't even finish the sentence.
Hey, did you know Pat Mahomes' dad played baseball? I can do this all day.
Hey, did you know Francisco Lindor is barely hitting over the interstate line?
Hey, did you know Francisco Lindor has to look up to see the Mendoza line?
Oh.
Hey, did you know Altuve?
And that's where we'll cut off our show. This has been a very fun week. Thank you, Mr. Millz. Thank you, Mr. Mio. Always a pleasure to have you guys here. Thank you very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Go Kraken.
I hope they hire Gallant.
Who, the Rangers?
No, the Kraken.
I was going to say, I would love that, but it's not going to happen.
Oh, if the Rangers hire Gallant, I might actually have to become a Rangers fan. That would be a problem for me.
Oh, I would love it then.